Hey there, folks. This is Joey DeAngelis of Silent Film Saturday and the Blockbuster Beach Bum. Today I'm going to be doing a review of Captain America the Winter Soldier, Marvel Studios' latest film, starring Chris Evans, Scarlett Johansson, not Nick Fury, Samuel L. Jackson, Robert Redford, Sebastian Stan, and a bunch of other people. So, anyway, this has been a film I've been looking forward to for a while now. It hasn't been like my number one most anticipated. That would probably go to X-Men: Days of Future Past, which I have a little over a month to wait for that. But I was looking forward to this because I really like Chris Evans' portrayal of Captain America. It gives it kind of a wholesome aspect to it without being completely sugar-coated sentimentality. You know, it would have been too easy just for it to be that and that alone. But I think he really makes it his own, and I really look forward to seeing him in future Marvel films as this character. Excuse me. So basically, this takes place obviously after the events of the Avengers, and as Captain America trying to figure out who he is in the 21st century now. And basically what happens is that there's a character who pops up and called the Winter Soldier, who is a deadly assassin, and he's pretty deadly. Also, Shield has some issues, and there's evil plots and schemes, and things go down in this movie. They really do. Now, let me start off by saying, before this movie and probably after, I might have to give this one a couple revisits and rewatch it a couple more times. But my favorite of the Marvel films, and probably my favorite superhero film of all time, is the first Iron Man. To me, it was a perfect blend of action, comedy, and a serious tone that I don't think a lot of superhero films have truly nailed yet. I think that's why it's in a league of its own, in my opinion. Um, and then, uh, other than that, in the Marvel films, I'm trying to think. I haven't seen Incredible Hulk in years. I remember liking it. Iron Man 2 is not that good. I haven't seen it in a while, but it's really, it's really just filler. When people complain about some of the solo Marvel movies just being filler to the Avengers, this is what they're talking about. Iron Man 2. Thor was all right in my opinion. It's hard to. I don't think you could have done a Thor movie better than that. At least in my opinion. Then you got Captain America: The First Avenger, which I revisited, and it's got a solid first half, but the second half is fairly sluggish and slow. I really just don't care at the second half. And then that's it. Avengers, I think, is a lot of fun. I don't think it's the first or second best of these movies. I honestly think, I'm not going to say it's overrated, but I'm not going to say it's the best comic book movie of all time. That is a bit ridiculous in my opinion. Then we got Iron Man 3, which first time I watched it, I was a little lukewarm on it. I liked it, but not a whole lot. But I watched it a couple times, and I'm like, man, this movie is so fun, and I don't feel like an asshole while watching it. It's not like Iron Man 2, where it's just, all it's there for is just filler. Whereas Iron Man 3, I'm just like, wow, I actually feel like the character of Tony Stark has some development here, and it's actually a lot of fun. And I'm looking forward to Tony Stark in the future, Avengers films. Then you got Thor 2, which Thor 2, it has some fun action, but it feels kind of similar to Iron Man 2 in the sense where it's just filler. I really didn't need this. You could probably say, oh, but the Infinity Stones. I don't care. If I'm just an average audience member, I want to have a story told. I don't just want commercials for Avengers 2. But at the end of the day, Thor 2 is not bad. But I remember when people were saying that Thor 2 is like the best Marvel film or the best Phase 2 film, I kind of chuckled. Because I'm like, really? Are you kidding me? That is the best of the Phase 2 films? And then when people were starting to say the same thing about Captain America 2, I got really skeptical. Skeptical really, really fast, man. Oh my god. You know, so I was like, we'll see what happens. And then I watched it. I didn't watch this in 3D, so I don't have any opinions on the 3D. Although my screen was blurry in some sections, it was like, I don't know. I don't think that was intentional. I think the projection must have screwed it up. But this really was probably the most captivating, one of the more entertaining entries into the Marvel films, and I will have to say, it could be the best Marvel Studios film we've had, and it's definitely a contender for one of the best comic book movies ever made. I think part of it is because um, I think it's they're dealing with a character who's had a couple films to develop, but still has room for exciting adventures. Especially as a character who's transported from the 40s until into the 21st century. Um, Chris Evans still nails it as Cap. I mean, he's great, and he also has some really just fun, some nice humor, especially with Anthony Mackie, who plays Falcon in this movie, and he's a lot of fun. He's a really nice like supporting character, and it's kind of like Tony and Rhodey's relationship in the Iron Man movies a little bit, but it's still a lot of fun to watch on screen. Scarlett Johansson is great in the movie. I mean, I love Scarlett Johansson. Man, I apologize for that, folks. Anyway, she kind of gives Cap advice, and they kind of work as like two friends, uh, which I think is interesting. And then you got Samuel L. Jackson as Nick Fury, who I really like him in this role, and I just think he's really good in this, especially because in the other movies, I really didn't like Nick Fury. I mean, I liked his portrayal, but I didn't like him as a person. And I'm able to like him more because, he's getting double crossed and getting backstabbed and things like that in this movie. So I really find that's more compelling. And there's actually a really cool action scene where he's in his car and he's getting chased down by all these like police cars and SWAT cars, and I found that to be one of the best action scenes in the film. So, that was really exciting, and Robert Redford as Alexander Pierce is a really solid villain in the film, in my opinion. He obviously Robert Redford, they bring Robert Redford in to make it feel more like a '70s movie, and that's kind of what the atmosphere of this movie feels like. Is a '70s like political thriller, and it definitely gets a vibe with like the surveillance and not necessarily just wiretapping, but basically security and hard drives and things like that. It's actually really interesting, and it's not just Tony using Jarvis for stuff. You know what I mean? I think that's what's really cool about it. Is that it's like, oh my god, this is actually pretty terrifying on a certain level. And I really feel sets up for the future movies. And of course, the Winter Soldier. Now, everybody's been hoping, including me, that he would be like the next Loki, where Marvel wouldn't have to rely on Loki as much as their like great villain, because other than Loki, Marvel really hasn't had that many great villains. To be honest, I mean, there's been Obadiah Stane in Iron Man 1, and then whatever the hell was in Iron Man 2. Incredible Hulk had Abomination, whatever, fine. I don't care. Captain America, I mean, Hugo Weaving is a great actor, but the Red Skull, I just didn't care. Avengers, it's Loki. Thor is Loki. Thor the Dark World, that elf thing was pointless and useless, and Loki stole the show. Iron Man 3 had the Mandarin, which pissed off the universe, apparently. But the Winter Soldier, I can say, is a fairly good villain, partly because he's not overused. I mean, I would have liked to have seen a little bit more of the Winter Soldier, but I think we'll get more of him in the future Marvel films. I think we finally got a character that's not like a main hero, but he can be in a couple of these movies, which is really cool and something Marvel really needs. Another thing I really found interesting was that they really recap a lot of stuff from the first Captain America. Like there's certain stuff from the first Captain America I'm like, wow, oh, that's right, that was in there. Okay. And they actually incorporate it into a way that's compelling and interesting. I don't want to spoil it, but for people who've seen the movie, you know what I'm talking about. There's a few name drops of Marvel characters here and there, and obviously a hint at a future Marvel character that I guess they're thinking about. They're going to make a movie about him in the future. And then this is, yeah, I mean, not much else I can really say here. Oh, there's two after credit scenes. The first one deals with the Avengers Age of Ultron. The second one kind of deals with the Captain America. So, check out both of those. Anyway, all in all, I have to say that Captain America the Winter Soldier is a movie that Marvel should be damn proud of. Really, more than likely one of their finest accomplishments, their best movie since Iron Man. Go see it. And it's also doing very well at the box office, which I'm very, very pleased to see. And I'm also, I'm also just so glad it's good, getting good reviews, and it's got good box office. All right, I'll see you guys later. Peace.